Bloomberg, like Bloomberg, Businessweek, one of the biggest business media outlets in the world, talked about me and my friends about us leaving America behind. And one of the there were several comments, like that article went viral. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, it was all over the internet. I think it's one of the highest performing articles Bloomberg Businessweek has seen in a decade. Okay, again, something that I'm probably just putting out there, but it was all over the web. And there were several comments. I didn't read them all because people are mean, but there were some of the consistencies that I saw a lot of Black women, Black families speaking about, because it was mostly Black women that responded to it because the headline was Black women banding together to leave America behind. Here's why. And one of the main concerns or questions was, how do you do that financially? Like, how do you leave America? And it just crippled me, because so many of us are living in circumstances because we feel financially trapped, and there's no worse feeling than that. Meanwhile, Americans are said to have the highest spending power. It's said to be one of the richest countries, but I know the truth. Like, people are in debt. People are living check to check. And I was like that until I had some major financial experiences that brought me to my knees, including, multiple properties losing their value during 2018, having cars repossessed when I was like not even 20 because I was buying cars that were way too expensive for me, and filing bankruptcy. All of these things I did because I was not taught proper money management. I didn't learn that. And so that bankruptcy was a PhD in finance, though. Let's be clear. After that, I took some certified financial planner courses. I even almost sat for that test. I took estate planning, tax planning, investment planning. I was going to learn the game because I was not going to get left behind. And I know so many of us don't get that opportunity, but with YouTube, there's so many resources for us to learn how to financially prepare for whatever it is that we want to achieve. But a lot of what's on the internet isn't what does it look like to financially prepare to move abroad. There are a lot of my contemporaries in this space talking about that on some different channels, and I'll be sure to link those in the description below. But in this video, we're gonna talk about what it looks like to live abroad on a budget and make your money go further. All right, so, I didn't introduce myself. Welcome to the channel if you're new. My name is Ashley. On this channel, Ashley in Africa, I talk about my experience moving, living, and doing business here on the continent of Africa. I am also the creator and founder of Africa Investors Academy, a membership community of entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, and investors who are building their businesses here in Africa and investing in projects here in Africa. So if that sounds interesting to you, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with someone who would find value in it as well. All right, so let's jump in. Now, I've created a tool for people that are in the US specifically to take financial action, to have the financial confidence to be able to move abroad. That is called the expat expense. That link is below. For the month of March, if you would like to talk to me directly in a one-on-one session, you will get that course for free. All right? And if you have kids, you'll get the expat prep guide with kids, with children, for free as well. So over $400 value if you book a call with me to move abroad or bring your business abroad. So those links are also below. But in this video, I'm gonna talk for the people that have done it, or if you've already participated in these programs, let's start to prepare for what it looks like on the other side, right? Because you've got to manage that money once you get out of the US, because the systems are totally different, right? There is an importance of budgeting here abroad. I mean, especially as you're getting more familiar with the new system, right? So I was really familiar with my spending habits in Tanzania, having lived there for over 2 years. I knew what I was doing on average for transportation. I knew what I was doing on average for entertainment. I knew what I was doing for those girls' school, for shopping, etc. Now I'm in a new country, and the first 30 to 120 days are just like this, right? Because you're spending money, you're going out because you don't have food at home, or you're finding helpers, or you're doing shopping, or you're paying school fees and enrollment fees, and you're buying new uniforms, and you're buying new things. Like, those first 3 to 4 months are not indicators of what you'll be spending, because you're doing it all over the place. So in these first 3 months, I have been very intentional about doing less, right? Doing less frivolous things, because I know the more important things are heavy in these months, like finding a new place, all of the things that I just mentioned, right? So this is also something that I planned, right? And I researched this, and we talk about this in the expat expense. There are tools online where you can research the cost of living in your new desired home country, or if you're comparing countries, you can use this tool to figure out how much things cost. What is the average rental gonna cost? What is the average carton of eggs costing? What is, the cost of childcare and private schooling? You can do this research before you arrive. And so I had already done this research and was able to figure out that I could maintain my lifestyle on the same budget that I was living in Tanzania, with maybe a little downgrade because I was gonna be in a major city, right? I'm centrally located in Johannesburg. In Tanzania, I was probably about an hour outside the city. And, so even that comes with accommodation, increase in rent and utilities and transportation costs, etc. right? But I did that research, and I figured if I want to have a similar quality of life, I'm going to have to make these amendments, right? And we're, again, still in that process. But research and planning had a lot to do with that. And my budget was realistic, right? I knew what I wanted to spend every month, and I am still calculating that, right? I think the only thing I'm not considering is transportation, because I Uber like 3-4 times a day, and that's just is what it is right now until I either get a driver or I get a car. Probably gonna be the closer to the first, because a driver feels a lot easier to me with load shedding and robots going out and petrol costs and maintenance. I haven't had or owned a car in over 3 years, and I don't have any interest right now, especially because my man isn't around to take the car and service it, right? So yeah, that realistic budget is something that I've done. It's super important that you do it, because again, because the cost of living is substantially lower than the US, mind you, you can look to spend anywhere from 30 to 70% less of what you've been spending in the US when you move abroad, right? Every country is different, every city is different. Again, I am in the central area of Johannesburg, so things are costing 80% less, right? I'm probably looking at 50% less, and that's because, again, I'm super rigid with my budget, because I'm an entrepreneur and I have to plan accordingly, right? So tips on finding affordable housing and transportation. Well, if you find out, let me know, because for me, one of the major things, because I did live so far outside the city in Dar, I wanted to live in the city here in Joburg. I just didn't want that life. As I'm getting acclimated and building a business, I need to be able to access events, access places pretty quickly, access meetings, the airport, etc. 20 minutes travel time max. And so I'm willing to pay for that, right? I know that there are some alternatives to Uber, but the way my Uber is set up, from a business perspective, it's a business expense. So I can use Uber as a business expense for now, and it's a safe option for me to travel to and from meetings, to and from events, to and from my girls' school. It's what's been working for me until, like I mentioned, I find a driver. Okay, so the next thing, food and dining, right? How do you live on a budget with food and dining? So my personal experience has been interesting because, again, I came here from Tanzania, and Tanzania cost of food is so inexpensive because everything is grown there, right? It's shipped fresh daily to Dar. And I could stop. I mean, there were like 5 or 6 stands on the way to my house that had fresh fruit and vegetables and fresh, and there were like 2 or 3 butchers on the way to my house. That was last minute needs, right? So when I would go to the market or send our helper to the market, I was able to get like the freshest fruits and vegetables and produce for like the low. I rarely went to the grocery store as I got more comfortable in Dar es Salaam, but I probably went maybe like once or twice a month. I had gotten down to a point where I wasn't going at all because we just weren't eating processed foods. That includes like chips, biscuits, or biscuits for Americans are cookies. They call them biscuits here. My 4-year-old calls them biscuits because she has an accent and she's fancy. And yeah, cereal, like we really just didn't eat that stuff. So we didn't go to the grocery store. But here I'm in the grocery store twice a week. I try to do once a week, and I'm getting better. But I go to certain grocery stores to get produce, meat, and other grocery stores to get like more, bulkier items, fruits. But I'd still say that the food is very good. It's fresh, as fresh as like it can be in a grocery store. I know I'm paying a little bit more because I'm paying for, the fact that we're in a grocery store versus in a market. But again, like as I get more familiar with the vibes here in South Africa, I know I'm gonna be able to get access to different markets and farmers and things like that, where I'll be able to buy more fruits, because that's what we still eat most of. Like I go to the grocery store 2 times a week because my girls will devour fruit and we only drink water, right? So it's not because I'm buying boxes of cereal, all of that stuff. It's because my girls eat fruit like it's going out of style. And I'm grateful for that, right? Mind you. And so I'm still figuring out my grocery bills at this point, but I'm mindful, right? Because one of the things that I don't sacrifice is like access to good food, right? I will spend money in a grocery store to have access to good food before I will just go out and spend money at a restaurant, right? And I enjoy doing that too. And that is also in our budget, but we'll talk about that later as we go into entertainment and dining. Okay, some strategies. So my personal experience for cooking, yeah, I like to cook, right? I like to cook. I probably cook about once or twice a week. And our helper, she cooks about 3 to 4 times a week. Hello. So that is a blessing. I'm super grateful for her. And we do go out maybe once or twice a week. I myself take myself out to lunch or a coffee shop or something like that at least once a week. It's a social activity for me. But, I do in this stage, like I'm enjoying eating at home with the girls, having, our helper share some of her beautiful culinary talents with us. Her South African food is bomb. It's amazing. So it's allowing us to get, a bit more immersed in the culture by being at home. And, when we don't feel like it, we go out. Some of our favorite restaurants are a bit more on the pricey side. So we haven't really explored, street food in South Africa. I haven't done that with the girls, and I don't think I've done that myself. And so that's a new adventure that I'm sure we'll be taking on very soon, but we're still getting settled in. All right, so is this helpful? Is this resonating? Please be sure to like the video and share it with someone who would find value in it as well. All right, so entertainment and travel. Okay, ways to enjoy entertainment and travel while sticking to a budget. We still haven't figured that out. We've been going to the movies, we've been going to the arcades, Yeah, like again, I do operate from this place of abundance. So the things that bring us joy, I don't like to restrict, right? I think I'm a bit more of a spender on experiences. I definitely can fall into that category. So for me, we're gonna spend money on experiences and less on things. So again, that was like a huge benefit from living in Tanzania, because the shopping wasn't very bountiful. Like, you didn't have a ton of options to shop. But here in Johannesburg, you can shop everywhere, like everywhere. There's things to buy. So because we've been used to not spending money on things and on experiences, it's less of a challenge. I'd say my oldest daughter loves to shop, so she's always trying to buy something, and I try to get her things here and there where it makes sense, but I err on the side of experiences because I love to travel. I love taking holidays. I love relaxation, self-care, loving on myself, and I do that through experiences, right? So I budget those in. I think that, gym, self-care, spa, therapy, all of those type of things have to be worked into my budget, because especially being a foreigner living in a new country, those are the ways that you take care of yourself, right? And so I'm gonna take care of myself like all the time in the ways that feel best for me, to make sure that I'm performing and operating at my highest self, right? In my highest vibration. So outside of that, from an entertainment perspective, people ask me out and I get asked out, and, so that's when I'll go and have lunch, or go and have coffee, or go to, a jazz bar or a cute little lounge. And when I get invited out, it's great on my budget, right? It's great on my budget. So I don't have to really worry too much about that as an expense. For the guys, I don't know what to tell you, right? You're just gonna have to budget it into your self-care, right? So I think outside of that, my entertainment also includes like going to things during the week. So I've signed up with a couple of dance classes as well, and so I budget those in. And I'm still figuring out my budget. So maybe I'll do like a cost of living. I've done a couple of these in Tanzania, but because I look at my accounts regularly. Every month I'm going on and I'm looking at what I'm spending versus what I'm making. So I'm pretty good at this, but I think it's super important to do this as an expat, because you can easily get into another country and think that things are way less expensive and overconsume, because you have that misconception that it's less expensive, but it can add up, and it will add up. So I think the last thing is banking and international fees for ATMs. So one of the best tips that I got was getting an international friendly bank account. Now there are several out there, but I will link the one to the bank that I use below. It's called SoFi or Sophie Bank. I can transfer money from my big banks to this bank card, and I can use it anywhere in the world, transaction fee free, right? And it's been sustaining me. It's been great. If I do go to the ATM, it's gonna charge me a fee that the local bank charges me, but they don't charge me a fee. Now that I'm in South Africa and have a South African bank, I don't pay fees when I go to the ATM, and that's been obviously a huge relief. But I absolutely recommend certain countries that don't operate with mobile money, because mobile money is very widely used in East Africa as well as West Africa. Well, South Africa, it's not as widely used. Everybody has bank accounts. So getting yourself a bank account is really important. It helps you minimize on fees. I got a call from one of our clients today saying, yeah, she just needs some support in setting up a bank account, because the fees are kicking her in her butt after being here for, I think it's almost 6 months, or 4 or 5, 6 months. So yeah, it's definitely something that I advocate. And again, I'll link that card below. I think if you sign up with that link, you'll get $50 maybe, and I'll get $50. So sign up. what do you have to lose? And if you're in the US, you can still use it as well. All right, so the last thing I want to say is just being in community with people that are going to support you in this journey and be mindful of what you're spending, right? And so that's one of the huge things that we talk about in the Africa Investors Academy. We're investing, we're building businesses. And a lot of times when you're in that mindset, you're not spending frivolously on shopping. You're not spending frivolously on alcohol or, just frivolous things, right? You're spending on yourself. You're investing in your own mental, physical well-being. You're investing in your environment, your space. You're investing in people that can support the time that you do spend as a business owner, whether that's house helpers, nannies, drivers, because they free up the time that you need to be able to be efficient and effective in your business. And so if you have an interest, we'd love to have you in the community. The link will be in the description, and I'll also pin a comment below for you to have easy access to our Africa Investors Academy and all of the other expat resources that I've created specifically for you to take action and have the financial confidence to do so, as well as the prep guides for kids will all be in the description below. So until the next video, I'll see you soon.